said, but
Right.
hi everybody! We're live. I'm here with Amanda Converse, my buddy. All right, she's a great friend, but she's also like, I think Fearless Fridays is an awesome venue to have her on because I feel like she's a fearless person. And Amanda, I'm just gonna put it out there. I feel like you and I have had some really authentic and really good conversations that are honest that I feel like lots of people are afraid to have. So I feel like you and I are just great friends in that way. And I know that I could always call you, and like we've had some just tough conversations about mental health and about businesses and about giving and about alcoholism and drinking and and
All of the
all of
above.
it.
Yeah. Well, and because, and the reason why I connect with you so much is because we can have those authentic conversations. And I feel like they're very important for human evolution.
Yes.
Let's just get right to the broad stuff.
Let's just like go right in.
Yeah.
Seriously, human evolution, I think, is like what we're doing in COVID right now. Like, holy crap, talk about evolution of all types.
Yep.
Yeah. So first of all, how
And
are you doing in
I'm
all of
doing,
this?
yeah,
Are you
I'm doing
shifting? Are you
well.
pivoting? How's the
Yeah.
love live local? How are
Right.
you?
Well, we don't, I guess you kind of, after like a little bit of denial, you don't really have a choice but to pivot. Or, kind of gather yourself and figure out what can I do every day to kind of keep moving forward. And that movement might have to pivot again next week. And
Right.
then, and it's really stressful. And there are days that I cry all day. And I do have to say, though, I feel like I've gotten into a rhythm. I know for me, it's, we can get into Love Live Local and who we are and all that stuff, but, we've had to kind of change some of what our product is and what we're putting out there. But I was able to easily move, home and work from home. And I know for, a lot of people, it wasn't like that. So I feel trying to find some gratitude every day, but also allowing myself to feel the feels too.
Yeah.
Which can be a delicate balance sometimes.
It really can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, and then not okay. And then I full on had like the biggest blowout of not okay this week, I think it was. It feels like so long ago. I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think there was the whole crash of all the race stuff with Ahmad and all that. And then like feeling like the world was coming in on me. And then, and then like the studio stuff was like, there's really no answer and there's no good response to any of this. And so I was like, had a full on like anger, freak out, scream out.
Yeah. Well, because you've worked so hard, like, and we felt this way with Love Live Local. We had just pivoted at the beginning of the year, and you feel like you've got this momentum going, and like things are moving, you're cooking, and then it's like, oh my God, we have to start over in some sense, again after building something. So we started Love Live Local in 2013. It was myself, Jen Villa, Kate Sheehan, and it really was just to start talking about really positive things that were happening on the Cape. And because we felt there was a negative narrative about like, there's nothing for young people to do here. And, as young professionals at the time, we found that to be completely the opposite of our experience. So we were like, just start an email. And then it honestly like snowballed into this sort of, we started putting on festivals where we had local businesses and makers and producers set up and with local musicians and all things Cape Cod. And just really, it then, because of my background and my passion for supporting local business, we evolved into this local business advocacy organization. So at the beginning of this year, we're like, we really want to do more of the communication of why it's important to support local business and advocating for local businesses. And so we decided to seek our nonprofit status, much like you are. And that was so that we could, we have a retail store, we have festivals, and we have a publication. And those are the ways that we, bring in revenue, but we also wanted to be able to apply for grants, get sponsorships. And, we felt like there was support out there for us in other ways. And so then the pandemic hit, and to be quite honest, like had to jump into advocacy mode right away. Because as we saw, and we found that it was very necessary, because as we saw when all this happened, I don't think the federal government really understood how to help small business.
No.
And it's become very apparent, and it keeps creeping up like left and right. So we're kind of trying to stay on top of it, much like many of the other business organizations. But I think the difference for us is that we have had for a decade, a very strong support small business message from the very beginning. And we have recognized from when it became apparent to me how important they are to our community, it became, it's just, we've recognized that for a really long time. And I'm glad that it's in the narrative now. Wish it didn't take a pandemic to happen.
Isn't that the thing?
Yeah, but it's nice. So we've definitely had to pivot. In the first 2 weeks of this, I was like, I don't know how to do this and like how to keep going. And it was very emotional, but then we're humans, right? We adapt and we figure it out. But it was because I had very good coping tools that I've been cultivating for a very long time. So
yeah,
and I think with the businesses as well, you develop after a long period of time, you develop the kind of ability to pivot. I mean, this is the biggest pivot of all time. All time. So we have to also allow for that to be huge and to, and I know there were a lot of people that were pretty shell shocked in the beginning and not, because it's like, people started sending out like, this is how you change your business model. This is like, I don't want to. No.
I know. And that probably was similar to you. Like we're in the same trajectory of like the whole nonprofit thing. So it's like that was already changing the business model for me. I don't know. I'm sure for you too, but with the board, and then you have to come up with all these new systems, and then you're accountable to somebody else, and now you're public, and I had to go to the bank and I had to get everyone to sign a piece of paper. So it's totally different, but I was like okay with that. But that took me like a little while to like get okay with. And then this whole thing happened the same exact time. But in some ways, I think for you too, it's like, thank God, because in some ways there are grants that can now come to us that maybe couldn't have been before. And I'm hoping that some of the grants that we can now get in will go, directly to like first responders and healthcare workers that need help with mindfulness and trauma that I may have not gotten otherwise if I wasn't on it. So, I think in some ways there's good and bad and struggle, and same thing for you guys. Like you are on the forefront of really knowing what small businesses need. Like you always speak to, I think, a voice that is not heard very often, which is why people look to you guys all the time, especially on Cape Cod. But I think other people,
I mean, it's interesting because I feel like this has shown a very bright light on, politicians are the first to be like, we are friends to small business. But then it's like when we're asking you to step up and not just give us loans, and that's kind of, there's, and I mean, from the beginning, we were like, that can be an element of it, but there's so much uncertainty that we can't depend on loans for this and to get us out of this. And also we don't know what the future is going to look like. We don't know what our revenue losses are going to be. There's so much unknown that it's like, and I'm not saying just funnel money to us. That's not what I'm saying. It's like, you've got to show us support in a lot of different ways. And, and it's been interesting to see when they put out the guidelines for a lot of and I'm speaking to the federal government, a lot of the guidelines to it, it's like, do you even know what a small business is? Like on the Cape, it's really like micro businesses.
It is totally.
It's sole proprietors. It's and they did get the message. They got the message, but still, there's still all this confusion around the PPP program, and I'm talking about that one just because that was like the one that was supposed to help us all.
Oh my God, my head.
Yeah, and and I have to shout out the local banks. Like they did a fantastic job helping us because they're so invested in this community. But I know people who off Cape were not able to access money because they don't have a relationship with a bank, like a good they have an account, but they don't have somebody they work with. So, I do have to say, like, I think, but I also don't think a lot of the seasonal businesses applied for it, and that worries me for the future. But
that is true.
Well, and I'll just segue that into
Go on, girl, you're doing great.
Yeah, and so so we recognized pretty early on that the government was not going to save us all, and they're making an effort. They keep saying there's a $3 trillion package, and which is great, but when you divide it all up, it really doesn't go that far.
Right.
There are over 300,000 small businesses in Massachusetts alone, and if they get $11 billion to Massachusetts, it's like that really doesn't kind of cover all of us. But
right.
So we kind of saw in the first couple of weeks that there were communities that were starting funds to help their small businesses, and that were grant funds. And so no paying it back, little paperwork, no uncertainty about, do I have to, what do I have to use this money on, and
right.
we, Boston started one. There's communities all across the country that did. And so I kind of got to work just calling every organization that was already sort of doing something like this, saying, would you guys do one for small businesses too? Just so that, and we'll help you promote it. We'll market it. We'll put it out there. We'll, shout it from the rooftops. And none of them were able to take it on. And so I just couldn't let it go, because for a lot of reasons, the businesses are going to need help from every angle. Every angle. And that's not just from the federal government, it's from the state government. What can the state government do? Do you not have money? Fine. What else can you do from policy, programs, processes, whatever? What can you do? And I think this is a time everybody needs to step up and say, what can we do? But so I just couldn't let it go. And so we partnered with the Hyannis Main Street Business Improvement District, who have a 501c3 status, because what some people don't know is you apply to be a nonprofit, but you don't get that designation from the federal government for
a very long time.
A very long time.
And then you fill out this 20-page document, which now is online and is even harder.
It's not. I mean, it was not easy. I kept saying it was like, this is.
I'm not even done. I'm halfway.
It's a beast. And so we aren't able to make donations tax deductible. So we partnered with the Hyannis Main Street Bid, who has a 501c3. They said, yes, run with it. We'll kind of hold the money, and we started the Cape Cod Resilience Fund.
Oh, great. Okay. I was wondering, I was going to ask you that offline, but you answered it.
Yeah.
I was like, how can you get the tax ID so fast?
No, right. So we're fortunately so the Hyannis Main Street Business Improvement District manages Main Street. They themselves are a membership-based organization, but they have a 501c3 arm that is meant to reinvest in downtown. And but we made it very clear to them that we want it to be the Cape Cod Resilience Fund would help businesses Cape-wide, and they were like, fine.
Totally fine.
We totally believe that if every Main Street on Cape Cod survives, we all thrive. And so that was their thinking, and they're a great partner to us. And so the Cape Cod Resilience Fund was founded, and we just put it out there, and because we knew people wanted to help, and we had people asking all along, how can we help? And we told them, if you feel comfortable, get takeout, or if you can afford it, get takeout. If you can afford it, shop online. If you are so inclined, share their page on, if there are lots of free ways to help out too. And then but we knew they wanted to help more in the broader sense, right? Like save our local businesses. And so we just started it and put it out there. And quite honestly, it's been incredible to watch. And we've been saying, and we watch it, it's like, if everyone just gave $5, which is, we would have so much money to help the small businesses. And so that's that. And I'm going to let you talk.
I just love listening. It's so awesome. Cool. The no, the COVID thing, I was going to ask you about that because I was like,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are donating to be free. We're doing like a whole fund, but it's tricky with the whole.
It is tricky. And, you know, right now, I think if they're donating a little amount, it doesn't really make a difference anyway. It's just when you get to the larger donations where the tax deductible thing comes into play.
Yeah.
And so we've, like I said, you know, we wanted to be able to accept large donations and you know, like the largest donations we've gotten have been from other local businesses. And
I know, I saw that because you wrote up a thing about it. I was like,
I mean, one of the businesses that we worked with that did a promotion for us was like, you know, I feel like I'm in good footing right now, and so I want to pay it forward to somebody else. Like I want to help them out, or like, you know, and it's just people who are like, I'm okay, but I know others are not. And it's a pretty, I'm hopeful, but right now it's a pretty stark picture that we're looking at right now. And, you know, it changes day to day, and we don't know what the guidelines are going to be. And so, but we also know that it's not going to be 100%. And so they're going to need all the help they can get. So what we're saying is we're giving out grants that from $500 to $2,000, depending on, you know, the size and scope of your business. And we'll put the application out in June.
okay.
Because we wanted to build up a pool of money before we were giving any out, so that we could have a bigger impact. So we'll put the application out in June, and we did say, you know, we're giving preference to brick and mortar, community minded, downtown located businesses, but everybody is welcome to apply. And the reason why we put those parameters, that was part of like partnering with the bid, was kind of saving downtowns. And those are really they're the backbone of this community, or those downtowns, you know, and they're having those brick and mortar businesses it's just so important to our community thriving, and being a place that people want to visit, but also want to live. So we feel like it's really important to prop them up right now. And, you know, as a retail store owner, like we stock local makers. So if we're not doing well, we can't stock them. But if we're given a boost, we can stock local makers, you know, so it kind of is like the brick and mortars will help out all of the other people as well. So.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I know. Someone's letting me know that there's an echo. Do you have a speaker on your thing? I just turned all mine off. Oh, I can hear it now. Do you hear my echo? It's okay. Yeah. It's fine. I was just saying.
I don't have a speaker, but I just did something. I wonder if that changed it.
Better? Oh, yeah, that's better. You fixed it. Okay.
Yeah. It was that setting I was asking you about in the beginning.
It was that, and I was like, it doesn't matter, and it did matter.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we fixed that problem. Thanks, Emily, for letting me know. Yeah. That's funny. Wait, I'm gonna pivot because now I'm all off. So what was funny this morning when I woke up? So I think about you every time I think about Amazon. I don't mean that in like a bad way. I mean that in like you're in my fucking ear, because you're like, what are you doing, Ayana? Don't fucking buy on Amazon. Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Seriously. And so I don't really buy anything on Amazon except for I have Audible. And so I get the
Audible. There is a way. Libro.fm audiobooks. They give the money directly to local bookstores.
Oh my God!
I know. Yeah. So this is what I say. I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's like everyone's like, oh, but I can't find this, or I can't do this. And I'm like, ask me, I'll tell you how to do it so that you're supporting local.
What's it again?
It's libro.fm. So libro.fm. Okay. And you shop for audiobooks, but you can shop like from your favorite local bookstore or from any local bookstore. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So because there are people, I mean, you know, they recognize, I think the bookstore industry or local bookstores were the first that were hard hit by Amazon. So they've been dealing with that fallout for years, and they've figured out ways to adapt. And even like shopping online, you can shop indie bound, and they'll tell you what local bookstore is online with them, and you can shop directly from your local bookstore too. But it's because the local bookstore industry they've been trampled. They've made a resurgence, which is why I'm hopeful about the rest of us. But
yes,
but nervous about what's happening right now.
Right. He's like the first billionaire.
Yeah, it's
That I also saw this morning. I was like, oh, Amanda's gonna not be happy about that.
It's outrageous to me.
Outrageous, right? Okay, good word. That's how my response was too.
It's outrageous. It's unnecessary. He's also not very philanthropic. So when Amazon as a business doesn't pay as much taxes as my business does, relatively speaking, and he doesn't pay nearly his fair share. And then the best thing I hear is people are like, why should you begrudge someone who was smart and hardworking? And I'm like, no, he got lucky.
He got lucky.
They are an anomaly. They are not the rule. Like he's not any smarter or harder working than anyone else in our community that I know of. He just got lucky, and he has venture capital money that is funneling money into his business every year. Amazon.com does not make a profit. Amazon.com does not make any money. They lose money on shipping every year, but they have other aspects of their business that give them money, and it's the web services that give them money. And you know what they're doing is collecting your data from their store, and they're using that. So that's how they're going to make more money in the future. So I could go on my Amazon soapbox, but at our local level, it really does have an impact on our small businesses. They might be a job creator, but they're also a job killer.
Right. Ooh, that's good. Job killer. Totally true. So true.
Yeah, it's very true. So and that's like, and on the net, it's actually, we lose more jobs because of Amazon than we gain. So, and those jobs are not in our community. So I think when we really need to look at this at a hyper local level, because all of the dollars that you spend on Amazon, there are a couple of exceptions, but all of the dollars you spend on Amazon just go right over the bridge. We don't see that money.
No, I know.
They don't give back to our community. They don't give back to any communities, really. So, when you think about our small businesses and you think about how much they do contribute to the community, and not just philanthropic ways, but they do. I mean, look, I see it with the fund. This fund that is for small businesses. The small businesses are like putting into and trying to help us raise as much money as possible, but they do it for our community organizations all the time, and it's because they're connected to us. And that connection is really important. And we've been saying that small businesses are under threat for years. And now it's like, we really are seeing it. The threat is real in our eyes. It wasn't just this kind of like, oh, I'll just click and ship and like turn a blind eye. Like, this is for real. Like, and yes, I know we're kind of trapped in our home, but all of those purchases, they matter.
Right. Totally. You don't have to go to Amazon. You don't have to go to big companies. You can still, right.
I don't shop on Amazon. It's funny. I do say a lot. Like I might maybe twice a year order something that I can't find locally, but I say all the time, actually, when I committed to shopping local, most of the time, I ended up spending less money because I was just a lot more deliberate in my choices. And so that was like, I don't spend as much money because I don't buy stuff and then get it and then like be like, oh, I don't feel like returning it, and then it sits in your house and like you never use it, and then you're like a hoarder all of a sudden. It's like, so. But I think, there's, in the broader sense of our community, it's not just, in terms of how much they recirculate a dollar bill. I mean, local businesses use local services, local businesses hire local people, local businesses give back to local organizations, they pay more in taxes, it's all of that stuff, but it's also the human connection part of it, right? The thing
talk about that. You sent me this the thing that you wrote.
Yeah.
And that was so awesome. It was so awesome for so many reasons, because it reminded me of that article with the, addiction and connection. And in some ways, the thread is so similar. And I feel like right now, too, people, what you're seeing is a heightened, how many memes can I see about what did you buy on Amazon today? Of like, it's not even about Amazon. It's about shopping online, like the addiction of needing some stuff to fill something. Same thing. And so what you were talking about with connection and just humanity and all of that, I think was just so awesome.
And it's interesting when you think about, because I wrote that article a couple of years ago, when we're always trying to communicate the importance of shopping local. And the article that I'm referring to it's on our website, and it's shop local for your own well-being. Because we talk a lot about why it's important for our economy, right? And a lot of people think, oh, you have a business, you have money, and that's not actually necessarily true.
I know, money. Like, why do people think that?
I know, but we've got to like put that out. Like, it is not true. And actually, I would say business owners are probably the middle class, and that middle class is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
Right, totally.
Because of this technological kind of industrialization of our lives. And when human beings started kind of living less in community and more in their homes and being a little more disconnected, and I think America is a very good example of this, right? We more and more personal wealth was built. We became more and more insular. And we didn't need people as much. But the only reason that we've gotten to where we are in our human evolution, in our humanity, is because we did it together. Right. And so now we've got this deficit. We had a deficit before. I mean, as you know, in your work, I think, one of my favorite authors, Johann Hari, who wrote Lost Connections, I told you about the book, and he said, the opposite of addiction is connection, and disconnection leads to mental health problems, and like all of them. And we, at our very basic level, we need other people to feel competent and and to feel connected, to feel authentic. We need other people. Those are like, we need to feel a sense of belonging in order to be okay.
Yes.
And that's why I said, to have strong local businesses in our community, those are, they're your friends, they're your neighbors, but they're also the person who, smiles at you in the grocery store. And you need all sorts of those types of connections in order to feel okay. I mean, people know, you can think about like, oh, I walked into the bank and this guy held the door for me and it uplifted my spirits, like all of those things. And those are the small business owners in our community. So they're not, it's not Jeff Bezos. He's not holding the door for you at the bank.
I love it.
Yeah. I love it.
So I had one of my meltdowns was at the grocery store because I was smiling at someone that was, having a hard time, but I forgot I freaking had a mask on. And so the person could not see me smile. And I was like, and I, in my head was like, what is so confusing about this interaction right now? They looked at me like, because it must have looked like I was staring at them funky and they were having a hard time. And then I started crying because I was like, they can't, oh my God, it was the first time I could see that no one could see my facial reaction to help a situation, and I do that in the grocery store before COVID, because grocery stores to me are just scary places. People are mean. I don't know. Overall, the people behind the counter, either they're so young or they're so old, or they're just so overworked and so tired. I mean, I just try to smile, and I was like, even, you know, just gently touching people, just to show some humanity before this whole thing came out. And I was like, oh, like just burst into tears. And I literally, I just can't even go in there anymore. And just that smile alone, I just wanted to, like, you brought it up, like that type of connection.
Yeah, it's really important. Now, it's also, these days, we're going to have to learn how to smize. And Tyra Banks can teach you.
Wait, how do you do it?
Well, so I used to have a fashion magazine, and I used to tell the girls, like, you know, it's smile with your eyes. So it's like, because you don't want to be like that in a photo, right? You're like,
oh,
right.
I didn't know that. I feel better now.
Yeah. That's what you're going to have to practice.
Okay. I'm going to have to practice.
And that's a very micro example of how we need to adapt in order to still connect with each other, right? Because I know, so I am somebody who has suffered from depression and anxiety, and did for, you know, I finally feel like I'm kind of on the other side. I still cope with it, but it's because I work my program every day. But you know, something like this would have sent me into a tailspin. So I get it. Like, I would have gotten so inside my head. I would have, because when you're depressed or have anxiety, you want to hide away, right? And so we're in a pandemic where you can't interact with other people, and the instinct to just curl up in a ball is there, and it's real and it's comfortable. And so, but it's also not, it's not good for us. And so it's like, okay, how can we adapt? When I'm at the grocery store, I'm going to smile at somebody. How can we adapt? Like, you know, I don't feel like calling somebody today, but I really need to, because you always feel better after the conversation.
Always. Yeah.
So, or you could go online and simply support a small business, and you'll feel really good about it. I promise.
Yes.
Like, you know, comment on their social media, or, because right now, unfortunately, virtually is how we have to connect. I mean, I think there are some workarounds, right? You know, and like being socially distant and being safe with people in a physical space. But I think right now, you know, we can get a little bit of fulfillment out of virtual connection, but I don't think it's something that we should. My worry is that we'll get into a habit of it.
Yes.
And then we won't come out of it on the other side. And we'll really see some mental health, some tragedies happen. But we can fight against that. And it's the same thing with, we have choices. You know, we don't have to just live in this. We have choices about where we shop. We have choices about how we react to a situation. And I think that's a really important thing for people to understand, is like, we don't have to just sit back and take it and accept this reality. We can kind of work around it. So when it comes to shopping and when it comes to connecting.
Totally. Yeah. I agree with all of that. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I think we want to take some questions from some folks, if that's okay. So we'll just give some time. If you guys have questions or comments you want to type in, go ahead. Oh, Amy's saying, oh, you want me to put up the what was the other website you said? Hold on.
The article?
Oh, I can post the article later. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
And that was, the article references that other Sebastian Younger book, Tribe.
Oh yeah, Tribe, so good.
So good. And he's really, the work he's doing, you know, with PTSD is really, really, really important. But that book was a huge game changer for me.
Yes. And PTSD, like, unfortunately, I feel like we're all in like trauma mode right now. So PTSD is gonna be like a real thing for everybody.
Yeah, it's gonna bring it up for sure. I mean,
you know,
the first couple of weeks, I definitely reverted back to the feeling, like, when going through a trauma, and I reverted back to the feeling, but all along, and this is why what I call working my program, is.
I love when you say that, because you're not even like in AA, and everyone uses that term, which I love.
It's my own. I designed it. My program.
So did I. Yeah. I'm like, I got my own fucking program. What are you talking about? I do yoga, I meditate, I talk to people.
Yep. So, yeah, it's like, and I know it sounds like, and you got to find what works for you, right? But I started daily meditation, so I've been doing that for a year straight. And I have to tell you, biologically, I can feel the difference. I still get anxious. I still get sad, but I can snap out of it a lot faster. And then yoga and exercise is huge. And then talking about it and having authentic conversations. It's so huge for all of that. But, throughout my journey of getting to like a more kind of happier mental state, it was, therapy was a huge part of it.
Right.
Huge part of it. Journaling was a huge part of it. And then, medication was a part of it for me for a very long time. And it's Libro.fm.
Not FB?
No.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm trying to multitask.
I know. It's hard. You need somebody you need Blessing as your assistant to
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay. No, it's still FM. FM. That's right. I was right.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, you were talking about depression.
Okay. Really so I mean, it's just, I think that's all, and then feeling connected to something, like doing the work that we're doing has propelled me forward. So, and I don't think, I think it can be, the work we do doesn't have to be something like on a community level. Like my significant other happens to be out of work right now completely. And so he's been just doing so much work on the house and getting his and feeling super productive and good. And so it really is. And trust me, I know how hard it can be to get out of bed on a day, but just kind of making that first step and trying something is huge.
It's huge. You just described why it's in existence. So thanks.
I'm glad I could be of service. You support local business of all kinds.
I know. Well, because people keep, wonder. It takes a while for people to understand the movement and mindfulness thing. I keep telling people that's the key to healing. Everything, all things, specifically mental health stuff, right?
Yep.
And I try to do it in a fun way, so that's why I have a studio, or whatever is going to happen. I had a space. Yeah. We still have a space. I still have a business. To look at that kind of stuff, because everything shifts. So what you said, I just want to reiterate, you guys. I know I say it all the time about meditation. Meditation and breath for the body is the one way you can help your body understand and your mind that you're okay, particularly in a pandemic, right? Because you feel claustrophobic. If you have preconditions, like you said, you already had anxiety and depression, even though you had a program. Once that starts up, right? All the people who have addiction stuff, once this started up, that's why I wrote the article about the whole, you're essential too, not just liquor stores. And I get why they're open. There's lots of reasons for that. But personally, don't take that as I'm going to go think I'm not worthy because they're open and go drink.
Garden centers are open too.
Right.
Go get a plant.
Get a plant. Don't go to liquor stores.
Yeah. There's just, it's I think for me too, the meditation and I use an app, and I think I'll eventually probably be able to kind of do it on my own. But right now that's how it works for me. And it's a practice, just like yoga is a practice. When I started taking yoga, I could never have done a sequence on my own. Now I could do a sequence on my own, but so I think the meditation just kind of, it gets me more in tune with how am I feeling physically, and I'm able to kind of be all right, this is what I need today. I'm just so, I feel like much more in tune with myself. And, and like I said, I was on medication for 20 years. And I went off it like a year and a half ago because I was doing the movement. And that was why the doctor said to me, like, you were a very good candidate for coming off of it because you have other things that you're doing, that you're using to cope. And I have to say it was challenging. But that book, so the book Lost Connections was huge for me in helping me on that journey. It's Lost Connections by Johann Hari. That journey for getting me seeing why coming off the medication might be good for me and to stay off, because it was not easy. But the meditation changed everything for me. And the app that I use has talks too. So you can learn. I use Insight Timer. I know there are other ones that are great too, and people they have, and it's free. I use the free version. But that one, the talks, because if you want to come at it from a psychology perspective, they have talks about that. If you want to come at it from a neuroscience perspective, they have it from that. And it's really, I do meditations for when I have a headache. I have meditations when I'm having gut issue. It's because it's all interconnected. Just like our community is all interconnected with local business.
You guys see what she's going here? Do you see this? Do you see the global thing she's talking about?
It's like we're all, and right now I feel like the people we need it's our community, right? So
yeah.
I
have the question. I'm just gonna put it up because it's she wants us to talk about something.
I can. So this is my feeling on gift cards. I feel like it's a really, really easy, nice thing people can do. But what it does is it transfers. So they make the sale now that they won't make later. And so what we've been encouraging, and a lot of businesses are fine with that. I think with different types of businesses, it works out differently. But for a lot of businesses, it's like, they'll get the cash now, but then it takes away from later. So say you're a massage therapist, you sell a gift certificate now, and then you have limited appointments later, and somebody's taking it and they're using gift certificate. And so my suggestion for that is that's great. It's great because, like she said, she got one from Snowy Owl, amazing local business, who wasn't open right now, right?
Yeah.
And so trying to support them, and it's fabulous. But if you have the financial means, maybe give that gift card to somebody who doesn't have the financial means right now, somebody who is out of work. I just saw a stat, I think it's like 28% of our community is on unemployment at this point. So, if you are able, if not, it's, I would say maybe wait and use it when they're back on their feet a little bit, if you can. But again, it's a great way to support them. It's just not my first choice, because like I have a very complicated relationship with gift cards. If it replaces a sale that would have already been made, I guess. But most businesses are selling them, and they're appreciative of it.
Oh my God. You're too funny.
I know,
oh my God. Everyone's asking about all these websites.
Oh, alternate for Audible for.
That's the Audible one. I did that before.
Yeah. So
here's what we'll do. When we log off here, I'll talk with Amanda and figure out what the links were that we talked about. I know you talked about the book. You talked about that the app you use, the Insight Timer. You talked about.
Yeah, and
I can put them all up for you guys later after this. I'll just post it and I'll tag Amanda and she can add if there's others.
In terms of shopping online, for necessities and things like that, there are a ton of local hardware stores that have a lot of the things that Amazon's selling. And there are a lot of local shops that have what Amazon's selling. And what we always say to people is, if you have a question of where to find something locally, just ask us and we'll point you in the right direction. I mean, there's a tier, of like locally owned stores, not just stores in our locally owned stores in our local community are the best places to shop if you want to support our community in many, many ways. But then it's like, if you can't find something there, then the brick and mortars that are here, the national chains, they're not my favorite. I tend not to shop there at all, but they're at least employing local people, right?
Totally.
And then after that, if you can find something online from a more independent shop, that's great. I know people tend to say that Amazon Marketplace uses a lot of smaller sellers, but that's a very complex relationship as well. And not only are they profiting immensely off of those local sellers, but they are also stealing their data and stealing their data and then making knockoffs of their products. So, Amazon is, they're out for themselves really, and their corporate interests in their, so, it's kind of like, these are the tiers. And then it's like, hey, if you need to order something online from a really big corporation, check out their giving practices. Like, are they better for,
I love that idea.
Because not all, like Patagonia is a great example. They're a big corporation, but they give back to the global community in so many ways. They're really good for the environment. They have, so something like that. So if you need something, like maybe check out like who's more philanthropic,
right?
Target, or, so there are tiers to this. And I think it's just, that's the way we should approach shopping as responsible consumers.
I love that, because I do that too, because there are, there's always this stuff, and I always see, and I learn a lot, because I'm like, I did not know that they cared so much about like racial inequality. And so then it's like, oh my God, I feel better about buying it, but B, like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it's cool to maybe partner in some way.
Yeah.
And
I think, and that's really good. Like, do the corporation's values align with yours? And if they, if your values are like, I don't care about my community, then I guess Amazon is your
right.
But a lot of people will say, oh, what about Amazon Smiles, right? And it's like, it's a joke. I love that you laughed, because
I mean, the name alone.
Yeah, and really what it is like Amazon's getting free marketing. I mean, the most, I would love to talk to a nonprofit that's made a significant amount of money off of that program.
Yeah.
And then tell me about it, because, but anyway, that's supposedly their way of giving back, but really they just get another tax write-off with it. So
totally. Oh my God, you're freaking brilliant. I love you.
I'm
like, we gotta wrap up.
Yeah.
But wait, two things I want to just make sure we highlight. One is that my friend Emily Mula, who's a nurse, she's doing a pound and pour and all of that. Since I'm a poundie myself.
Yep.
All that, we're asking for donations to go to the Cape Cod Resilience Fund for that. That's on May 31st at 12. It is in partnership with Devils, yes. Okay. I'm like, oh my God. And they are just wonderful, and have been super awesome in collaborating with like.
Yeah, and you can go to, on our website, there's a list of the businesses that are also, and the events that people are hosting that are benefiting the Cape Cod Resilience Fund. So there's a post that's called Stepping Up for Small Business, and you can it lists all of the, like, a lot of people. I'm like so overwhelmed by the people like Emily who are like, you know what, I want to offer a class to raise money for that. It's just, I mean, it's amazing what people are doing. So
yeah, it's so awesome.
And it's a great way to move the body.
And I know, it's okay. And yes, you've done pounds,
Yes. Now, how are people, do people have their own sticks?
So lots of the community have their own sticks. Yes. You can also get super creative.
Yeah.
And use like, spoons, and, Blessing uses her. I mean, well, I have 1,000 sticks, but you can also get sticks from the wood. It's more, it's more just moving your body. You don't have to worry about sticks. But if they're local, you guys can certainly get sticks from me. But we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah.
But if you want sticks, just come to me and I can get you some sticks. And what's the best way to donate to you for the fund?
So if you go to lovelivalocal.com/resilience, it'll give you more information about the fund, all of the people who are collaborating with us, and then there's a beautiful little donate button. And I am being serious when I say every single dollar counts.
Every single dollar.
With Love Live Local, we have, between our different social media channels, we have 20,000 followers. If every single one of them gave $5, that would be $100,000. Like, that's a lot of money, so it really all adds up. So lovelivalocal.com/resilience. And you can find us on social too. It's Love Live Local is our handle everywhere.
Yeah. And I'll post a bunch of links after this. I'll do a little write-up. I feel like people are asking for like all of it, which is fine. It's cool. I'll listen back and send a little. We can do like a joint blog, maybe.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff we can do, girl.
I know. I just want to hang out here all day.
I know. That's what Jason said. He's like, I feel like you guys should just like do this all the time.
Right?
Hey, we might. I don't know. I just keep going with stuff that just pops up that are ideas from the pandemic. And I'm like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
This is one of them. So it's taken off, and I'm glad because it gives a voice to you. It gives a voice for just the people here that are feeling so isolated and so alone.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's just like a great way to connect.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to, it's like, I love talking about Shop Local and I love talking about mental health. So it's like, let's bring it together. Because, it's been a journey for me. Both of them have been a big journey for me, and a lot of learning and a lot of I feel like the only way we're going to evolve beyond all of this is if we just talk about it all.
No, like, I feel like people are so afraid to talk about stuff, like with the race stuff. People are like, why?
I was just going to say that.
I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, were you so worried about getting all these questions? No, it's just a conversation. No one's coming at me.
No.
We're just opening a conversation that needs to be open. And it's all, I mean, if you come from a place of love, right? All your businesses have love first. That's how I remember, like, all the websites.
Yeah, love.
Love first.
Lead with the heart.
Yeah, lead with your heart.
Yeah, no, and the race stuff, and I'll not talk a lot about it, but it is something where it's like during this whole thing, it's like, oh, really? Like, we're still doing this too? Really?
I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, my love, and we'll just keep talking, and we'll do a joint blog together, and just, I don't know. I see like there's lots of partnerships that can come from both of us, I think. Yeah,
it really does. I know it was like when I said to somebody, I was like, it really is tied to mental health, like shopping. And they're like, And I'm like, no, it's real. Go on the journey with me. So thank you for going on the journey with me with that.
It's like an awesome journey, right? How cool. How cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you guys, when you're in grocery stores, what's your word?
Smize.
Smize. Use it. Use it. And be kind to people in grocery stores. I'm having experiences where just there's a lot of unkindness in grocery stores. So I just got to put that out there. Like,
well, and it's about being right? Yeah. So just kind of before you go in, maybe do a breathing exercise. So you're not super stressed.
I put myself in a bubble that is just like, I'm going to love everyone else. And if you're like having some negative, it's going to bounce off me. Yeah. And I'm going to share as much love as I can. And just, I know people get so worried about like, you're not 6 feet apart, but just, it is what it is. Like, we're going to be okay. You don't got to scream at the person down the hall you're not going down the aisle the right way. Right. Let's just still love each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And get educated.
And get educated. Right. And get educated on it. I think I'll end there before I get my soapbox of that. We can talk another time. All right, my friend, I love you. We're going to go offline. And you can stay on for a second so I can,